Melbet. Bet on whatever you love in one app, anytime, any place, right from your phone. More than 20,000 online and live events every day. Great odds, loyalty program for regular gamblers, and a range of local bonuses. More than 20 ways of withdrawing your money, literally in seconds. Melbet, the bookkeeper you can trust.
Hello everybody and welcome to your West Ham news. Well, it's your news and it's my news, and this is a regular feature. We're going to be coming at you at every day or two, something like that, at least 3 times a week, and we're going to try and give you a short, condensed version of all the happenings and what's trending in the world of West Ham United. And we picked a whopper today. Joining me is Mr. B. We're going to get his views in a minute, but the main story of the day is concerning Twitterer West Ham ITK in the know XWHU employee. Now, unless you've been hiding under a rock and you don't know, that Sunday, the Daily Times have run with a story today suggesting that Manuel Pellegrini is trying to root out a mole that's embedded deep inside a West Ham training ground, because apparently this mole has been passing the team on to WHU employee who has been releasing the team before kickoff. But I think the accusation in the article was for 60 games in a row. X has denied this. He has gone on to Talk Sport today and he has said actually it's more like 80 and 90 games in a row. Now, apparently Manuel Pellegrini wants to stamp this out. He's absolutely sick of it, because, this is according to the article, he releases his team in a meeting 4 hours before kickoff. And apparently, X is beating him to the punch. He's not happy. And so everybody is out to get X West Ham United employee. That's where it ends. No, it doesn't. As the story ran, X spoke to Talk Sport. He's been tweeting and twittering all day as well. And Manuel Pellegrini today had his press conference. When Pellegrini was asked at his press conference if it was true, are you angry, Mr. Pellegrini, that your team news is getting leaked? Pellegrini said, no, this is quite normal. He said, I don't speak to my players 4 hours. They know the team. They know the team before that, because we work on the training ground and these training drills and set plays. So they always have a good idea of the team. Kills the story, right? Apparently not. There has been a follow-up article from the journalist is Matt Hughes. I think I've got that right. I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments below if I haven't. I hope his name's not Matt Hughes, because Matt Hughes is actually a UFC fighter. So I'm presuming it's a different guy. But anyway, there's a war of words. Ex-West Ham employee has come back, called it terrible journalism. He's asked if somebody could advise him on defamation of character. And apparently, ex-West Ham employee is going to call the journalist at the weekend because he's got his phone number from some source somewhere else, presumably a different source. Mr. B, what do you make of that, mate?
God, how do I follow that? What an intro! I saw the article very early this morning. It sort of pinged up via my Twitter feed, and I had a look at it, and it just, I don't know, it sort of smacked to me straight away when I read it. It's typical international break, not much to report. Nobody's really dug West Ham out for at least a day or 2 days, so let's create some load of complete bollocks. And see if we can, as I say, create a little shitstorm, and it seems to have happened. I think it's very, very poor journalism, to be perfectly honest. I think it's quite ironic as well with Pellegrini's press conference, where he said that obviously Wilshire's out and Hernandez is ill and stuff like that. Well, surely he shouldn't be giving all that team news away, should he? It's just, I don't know. I thought it was absolutely farcical. I know, obviously, that the teams do come out via X now, well, not directly via him, via the West Ham way. So it comes through. And I know X has said he's very good at guessing. That may well be the case, but if he's guessing 60 plus in a row, he needs to be going and buying a lottery ticket. So I'm not saying he's given the teams, but there's obviously a lot of people around the training ground. They must be working on those set plays and formations and God knows what. I mean, if they're not, or having said that, the way we've been playing this season, maybe they're not. But you'd at least hope that they're doing that kind of stuff in advance, and the set plays and the team setup is kind of established during the week. So those players have got a good idea, and the people watching them and seeing what's going on have got a good idea. So I don't say stuff's being leaked to him, but I'm sure there's a bit of joined up thinking where X is concerned, and he's using a lot of sources and can pretty much picture that team. Yeah, as I say, I think Pellegrini pouring cold water on it as well at the press conference just makes that journalist look a complete dick.
I think the story is got to run and run because, as I say, the journalist has come back with another story, which I've actually not had a chance to look at, but I think it's an elaboration of it. I think he's sticking by his guns. Is that so? We got X saying one thing, the journalist saying quite another. But on that subject, certainly when I go to the games, we go down to the boats, down to the Hammers Chat boats, and whenever I go down there, people are telling me the team. So people will say, "Oh, maybe X has not said the team," but for instance, I think last time I got down the boat, there was something like somebody said X had said the night before there will be 3 changes tomorrow, 2 of which I agree with, 1 of them's a surprise and a youngster, or something like that. So people tend to say, whenever I get down there, people know. What's your opinion on the leaking of the team, or whatever, the suggesting, the hinting of the team? Do you think that gives the opposition any sort of benefit, any sort of insight at all? Do you want it to stop? What are your opinions on the leaking of the team, whether the story is true or not?
To be honest, I don't personally think it has much kind of credence. To be honest, we're talking professional people, and I can't believe, if you're looking at kind of any Premiership manager, but say Pep Guardiola as an absolute classic, I can't believe a team coming out 2 or 3 days before is going to change the way Guardiola thinks, or any top manager. And I think X, whenever he does put stuff out, he's very succinct in as much he doesn't ever name names. Okay, he gives some good steers, and you can put 2 and 2 together. But I just, as I say, I think there's a lot of people kind of hang on what he says, and it's good from a fans' perspective, a supporters' perspective, to kind of have a little inside track of what might be happening without knowing 100%. But to be honest, I really personally don't think that has any bearing on an opposition manager, not unless somebody was to come out and say, "Oh, Arnautovic isn't playing tomorrow," or something like that. And I don't think that would ever be put out in the public domain. That would be, critical stuff. I'm sure would be held back. And also, there are other sites out there that also, as you say, also come up with squad details and team details. So it's not just X. So if there is the rumour mill going of what's going on, it's just to do with the multiple sources at the training ground that could get that out. And I don't think Pellegrini, 1, could stop it, and I don't think 2, he's two-faced about it. He wasn't getting overly bent out of shape at his press conference today. He was, he actually smiled when they mentioned it to him.
Well, he's a cool customer, even though he probably hasn't got a lot to smile about. And in all honesty, it is probably a welcome question. Let's be honest, Ian, a welcome question. Bearing in mind, actually, the pressure on the team. Bearing in mind, we do have no points. Bearing in mind, we're bottom of the league. It was probably grateful to be answering questions about Twitter. Thanks for joining us, mate. There's been a couple of other bits of news today. That's the whopper. That's going to run and run. It's a big Twitter spat. It really is. Get on there and watch it. It's hugely entertaining. In other news, as Ian alluded to just a minute ago, Jack Wilshere has been ruled out for tomorrow, as for Sunday's game, beg your pardon, and also Chicharito Hernandez has a virus, so they will both not be included in the matchday squad, along with the long-term absentees, which of course are Andy Carroll, Manuel Lanzini, and Winston Reid. Aside from that, it's not a bad squad. The final piece of news is that the Chelsea and Manchester United tickets for those home games, the club have announced that they are sellouts, which is a miracle, bearing in mind the story that Gio ran with yesterday, which was our average attendance is actually, on average, 12,000 down on what our official attendance is. So don't let that put you off. If you see Chelsea and Manchester United tickets are unavailable, I'd still have a go. You might well be in luck. Listen, thank you very much for joining us. We will be back with lots of videos over the weekend. Mr. B is joining me for the review the Everton review over on the main channel. Please subscribe to both channels, the forum channel, this one, and of course the main Hammers Chat channel. We'll be back in a couple of days with even more news. Mr. B, thank you. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.